competitiveness to a whole new level yesterday at their joint practice as the teams were involved in multiple brawls, including Saints tight end Brock Reichsteiner, son of WWE Hall of Famer Scott Steiner, body slamming a Cowboys player. Take a look at this. But also, take a listen to what Coach Brian Schottenheimer had to say on the scuffles.
A little chippy, not the way we like to do business. Got to be better, but I got to look at the film. We're certainly not going to take, from anybody. But again, it was chippy on both sides, and like I said, I want our guys to play on the edge without going over the edge. One guy sounds like he might have thrown a punch, and that's why he left practice.
Mad Dog, you don't take stuff from anybody. I want to know, do you like it, love it, or dislike?
To me, it's football. Hot summer day in August. Saints and the Cowboys, haven't really gone up against each other. This is the week that all these teams, Giants with the Dolphins, they seem to get together. So instead of hitting each other, they're hitting somebody else. Who knows what happens in the heat of the moment with what people say. This one looks like it went a little too far, but to me, if this was not the Cowboys, I don't know if we'd be making such a big deal about it. I'll let you two handle it. I'm not that worked up on it.
Well, it wasn't just
leave
one.
It to the 305, but I understand
it wasn't just one. It was multiple brawls. Yes. So what do you think?
I hate this kind of stuff.
The discussion about it or the fighting?
No, the fighting.
Oh, okay.
I hate this kind of stuff. I don't think it proves anything. I don't think it's something that shows you just necessarily, how tight a team is, how everybody has each other's back, which a lot of people kind of point to and say, look, this is just a part of football. It's hot out there. You're going against another team. It's a long, grueling day. Look.
So basically everything Mad Dog just said.
Yeah, I don't buy into anything. I'm going to say this. Look, I played professional football in the 90s. I played with some of the baddest dudes that this game has ever seen. Some of the toughest guys this game has ever seen. Jesse Tuggle, Scott Case, Jeff Donaldson, Eric Turner, Pepper Johnson, Carl Banks. Dudes who, when the game was being played in between the white lines, would absolutely knock your teeth out of your mouth. And that's where they dispense justice. I never saw those guys punching, pulling guys' helmets off, suplexing guys on the sideline, and then getting up like, that stuff doesn't mean, I can't even say it. That stuff doesn't mean anything. The game of football provides you plenty of opportunity to kick the living you-know-what out of someone within the context of the rules, okay? When I went to San Francisco, when I was drafted there as a rookie in 1991, I don't remember anybody talking to me about Ronnie Lott pulling off people's helmets and fighting them and punching them on the football field and doing this kind of nonsense. People knew what Ronnie Lott was all about. They knew what guys like Jeff Fuller and those guys were all about. That's what really matters to me. This kind of stuff means nothing, and quite honestly, I have no tolerance for it. I hate it.
So Kevin, I've done a lot of TV with Louis Riddick, and he's mentioned last season how the Cowboys defense, players need to show a little bit more toughness, physicality, need some dogs. Now it seems like they got some dogs at a joint practice. What do you think about it?
I don't know. In a weird way, I think if you're doing this kind of stuff,
What do you think about it?
I don't know. In a weird way, I think if you're doing this kind of stuff, as Louis said, you're not a dog, because you go out in September and you be a dog. You don't do it on August 18th. But there are a couple things I want to point out. Number one, can't throw punches. That's number one. Number two is that Scott Steiner's son, whenever he's ready, has a WWE contract ready for him. Because I don't know if the NFL's long for him, but right now it looks like he is the part on the fighting stuff. For me, I think that the biggest thing is there's a lot of great teams that have had scuffles in training camp or in practice. The Seahawks, before the 2014 Super Bowl, punch each other in practice during Super Bowl week. They went out and they killed the Broncos about 5 days later, okay? 2019 LSU has some of the craziest training camp fight stories in history. They went out and destroyed everybody, went 14-0, best college team of its era. So it doesn't preclude you from anything. For me, it's meaningless. So it doesn't prove that you're tough. It doesn't prove that you're cohesive. It doesn't prove that you have competitive fire. What it proves is that NFL teams have short memories. Football teams have short memories. You can go out and get in a tussle with somebody, and the next week they're your teammate, they're your brother. So to me, this borders on irrelevant.
So you know who showed some spirit, some fire? Louis Riddick on social media. Because we saw Lou had a lot to say on social media, a lot of stuff that caught our eye. Louis, please tell us what you wrote. Please read it.
Yeah, this. I just saw a lot of stuff, Kimberly, about people saying, you know what, joint practices should be abolished because you know what, they're really pointless. You see all this fighting and stuff, the risk of injury. People talk about all the time about, hey, we should abolish preseason games. They're pointless, they're meaningless. Fans don't like to see them, players don't like to play in them. It's just vanilla football, doesn't mean anything. Then, mini camps, OTAs, the offseason has been cut down dramatically from the 90s, early 2000s when we used to have a lot of offseason practices. You can't hit anybody the way you used to anymore. I understand. The league has really kind of put an emphasis on player health and safety, which I understand. I'm just sitting there going, well, damn, what can we do in the game of football now? What do people want? What exactly is it that you do want? Because we complain about everything. We cut down so many things in the game of football to where now it's just like, people expect that this game can be played at the level that it's played at. If players just show up on Sunday, that's it. That's not how it goes. That's not how it works. That's not how football is played. That's not how teams are built. And I just think we need to kind of pump the brakes on all this. We need to stop that. We need to cut out this. Yeah. We need to take care of that. Because you know what? If you start doing that stuff too much, the game is going to suffer eventually. It's going to not look the same as what you're accustomed to and what is drawn in the kind of fan base it has worldwide. I just kind of it just overwhelmed me at one point when I was sitting there on social media. I'm sitting there going, what the hell don't we complain about when it comes to this sport at this point? Because there isn't very much.
What do you think?
I'm with you, Louis. And I was lucky enough. I covered the Dolphins when I was in college, and I was lucky enough to cover two-a-days before the most recent, the 2011 CBA. Mm-hmm. It was a different sport. You know this, Louis.
Yes.
You played in the 90s. You played with those badasses. And for me, I just think about those were the hardest thing to do in the world on a daily basis. And you'd see guys come out of training camp after their second practice, and they look like they just played 5 games in a row, right? Mm-hmm. And so now I think we've gone the other way where training camp's not supposed to be hard at all. And I kind of think whether there's joint practices, we saw, I think there was a little scuffle in Broncos camp the other day because somebody got too close to Bo Nix. That's just going to happen sometimes. I was at the Packers practice last week, and they were talking about the rules of engagement and how they don't want anybody near Jordan Love at all, even to the point where you don't want anybody in front of his arm in case a finger goes off a helmet and he breaks a finger. There's just going to be realities where that's going to get impeded with over a month. And I don't think we can thin slice this and say, oh, this means this. Oh, they've lost control of the team. It's just going to happen. It's training camp, guys.
Final word.
Get to September 9th, Seahawks, Patriots. That's the first thing. And second thing is, with the quarterback, you got to protect him. Because without one in this day and age, if Bart Starr got hurt, you had Bukowski, who won playoff games. They have to protect the QB.
There's no question about that. I'm not saying that it should just be a free-for-all and we should be going 11-on-11 every game and sacking your quarterback. Look, I get that. You got to protect your assets. But I think Tom Brady put it best. Look, it's football. You're paid to play the game. And to play the game at a high level, you have to practice the game at a high level. And sometimes that comes with consequences. You're going to lose some players now and then. You cannot eliminate all the risk out of the game of football. You just can't. And quite honestly, I think we've gotten so far away. Look, again, player health and safety, I'm all for it. I understand you want to protect these players long term. There's no doubt about that. And a lot of the rules that they've implemented as far as headshots and making sure that players are kind of protected in live game action, I'm all for. I am all for it. But let's just pump the brakes on some of this stuff, man. You still got to play the game and practice the game the way it needs to be played and practiced.
All right, we're going to talk about another fiery type of player, Baker